No, I didn't go.
You didn't go to prom.
No, no. I
You didn't take your
I
cousin or anything
no
like that. I mean, that's always the
no
fallback. So what's going on?
no. I specifically remember hanging out at my house with some buddies, ordering some pizza, checking out, just hanging out the house. Honestly, I
Just
guess we were the
prom stupid
too
anyway. I never
too
wanted to
cool.
go.
Either we were too cool or just we just were too rejected and didn't want to go. And it sucks anyway. Why would we want to go?
Hey, it's your role for Dungeons and Dragons. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll say this too. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons either, but I mean,
You
you
didn't
would
hit rock
think
bottom. So you didn't hit bedrock.
I didn't
All
hit
right.
rock bottom.
You didn't hit rock
I
bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, there's there's one remaining fact. So one you didn't hit the bottom,
did,
scrape the bottom of the barrel there. So kudos to
did
you. But at least you were a car guy growing up in high school. So
That's the
kudos
cool
to you.
part. I think that's probably what we were doing. We were probably talking cars on what would have been prom. Did you go to prom?
I did not go to my prom. I went to three other girls' proms.
That's funny. You said I did not go to my prom.
I did not go to
You led me
my
on,
prom.
but you
I
went to
went
three
to
others.
everybody else's prom, and then this really, really cute girl that I was dating at the time, her
Yeah.
prom was the same night as my prom. So I didn't go to my prom, but I
Oh.
went to her prom, and then afterwards we went to the after party where all my friends were. So it's kind of like I didn't really care, but she was really cute. So
Well, that makes sense. I mean, at least you had a choice. It wasn't like you just skipped out on yours and then you went. Like, you didn't go as a college student to prom, did you? That's not a problem, I guess. But like, prom is a prom thing. You're typically in high school to go to prom. But like,
I was pretty
did
bad. Like I was dating when I was a sophomore. I was dating a girl who was in college.
no way.
Yeah, I did that twice.
Dang, man.
So
I didn't know you
anyway,
got down
let's.
like that. No.
I rolled like that. Yeah, sorry, not bragging or anything.
Not bragging or nothing.
But moving on.
Ah,
Well,
yes.
welcome everybody to another episode of the Nissan Nerd Podcast. Today is a little bit special because it's our Christmas episode,
Yep.
and we'd like to thank you all for joining us here tonight. We got a lot going on. We're trying to wrap up the end of the year, talking about all the lies and promises that we're going to tell ourselves that we're going to do to make up for all the stuff we didn't do this year. So we'll see. We're going to ask your input here too, as well as we continue on with the episode. We'll get through some news. We're going to talk a lot about what's going on. But Mike, tell them what we're doing in this episode.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it again. Again, thanks for being here. On this episode, we're gonna raise eyebrows at Nissan's recent Fairlady X concept. We're gonna take a look at that. The Nissan Versa is now the most affordable car in the U.S. I think we've got to talk about that as well. And also, as part of Back Alley Chat, as you mentioned, Miles, we're going to take a look into our resolutions, car resolutions for 2023, and we're going to ask you guys with us, streaming with us. We want to know your resolutions as well. We'll go ahead and get into it though. But this is our last episode of the year, so let's go ahead and send it out with a bang. This is a Nissan Nerd podcast. Let's do it.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
well,
I, I like that picture a lot, though. Honestly,
you
that's
like this picture a lot. All
I
right.
do, I do. I think it really sums up our relationship
this
pretty
is one of my
damn
better.
close,
This is
man.
one
I
of my
won't lie.
better face swaps that I've ever done. So yeah, I'm actually like this one, and it kind of goes hand in hand with your character type and then my character type. So yeah.
It
Uh,
does. It does. You're very much how I'm not saying you're a John Candy type, but I mean you. First of all, you can improv. John Candy, his character Dale Griffith,
mm.
he sold shower curtain rings and sold them as earrings. That I can see you doing. You have taught me, and for as long as I've taught you, you got to improvise. You have taught me that.
Got to make it
So
happen.
yeah, uh,
John Candy's best role what was it, Home Alone, where they had the polka band. Uh,
Oh
I,
yes,
I forgot the name of that
Gus
band. Somebody,
Polinski, Gus
yeah,
Polinski, and the
and this
Kenosha Kickers.
and the Kenosha Kickers. Oh my God, I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah,
Best role ever. They sell the jackets, the Kenosha
yes,
Kickers jacket, like the little
the
bomber that
yellow
they
with
had.
the red.
They do. They sell it.
Oh, dude,
So,
that and
yeah,
he improved all of that on the
really.
spot. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
Man's a
learned about
legend.
that.
The
He is a
man
legend for
is a
sure, man.
legend. Well, let's do a little bit of catch up here. Now, Mike, we've been seeing each other off and on as we wrap up the year. We usually have our own podcast business that we have to kind of knock out, but
Yeah,
I know, some small wins. You've been messing around with your local Z, and then you had a mishap in the garage. You want to talk about it a little bit?
I did. I did. I shared these for anybody who's on my personal Facebook anyway. That I had two rather exciting things happen to me within the last week here. Honestly, I'll share some pictures here. You know how I am with pictures, so might as well be a slideshow. But first things first. I'm in the garage. More specifically, I'm in the attic up above, and I'm adding more storage space, so I get less stuff out and more garage space, obviously, to do
So
car
you can
things,
put
right?
car parts in the attic. Let's call it what it is.
That's
All
what it
right.
is. So I'm doubling the space. I got a few pictures here. As you can see, I'm literally adding more and more space out here. You can see my wheels out in the corner already. I've got them up there. But the funny part is that as we're up there before the lighting, by the way, I was stepping around and I learned very quickly that the previous owner of this house placed some of the existing wood that's up there was particle board, which is not good, especially over
Yeah,
a
step
long
right
period of
through that.
time.
You can
Oh
fart
yeah,
on particle board and it disintegrates. It just is gone. So
it's true, man. And so what happened to me is, yeah, it's dark up there. I'm just kind of looking around, just getting started. My weight goes enough, and I crack a particle board. My foot goes through the floor, through the sheetrock ceiling in the garage, and that's the what you see here is the destroyed ceiling part of
is
the
that what your big old
garage.
getaway stick looks like going through your sheetrock up in the ceiling?
Yeah, it was one foot. Thankfully, I didn't fall through. My other foot was on actual wood, so I that's the only thing that saved me.
Did you
However,
do a
had it
whole
not
Jean
been,
Claude Van Damme, or was it just like you went in and like a tap sack on the lower the upper wood area, and then you just kind of saved yourself?
honestly, I have these cat-like reflexes, man. I was able to catch myself.
There's
I
nothing
had,
cat about you.
I know you're right. What would you
Just
call?
is
Yeah.
it the one time your girth saved you from going through and
No,
killing yourself?
right? No, I was
Sometimes,
able to.
yeah,
Yeah, I was able to catch my right foot was able to catch the weight. I think I probably went as far down as probably about mid shin before I was able to catch myself and I didn't fall through completely. However, the Z was underneath. It's safe though. I didn't
I was gonna
nothing.
say, I was like, I hope you didn't damage your right hand drive 300ZX. So that's good, man. I'm happy for you.
Well,
So
what is funny though? I sent this picture to you and a few others,
uh
and I didn't give you any context. I just gave this to you.
yeah, you
Let
just
your
sent me a photo of that,
imagination.
and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, and the funny part was just giving
I
it
already knew
to
what happened.
family members. Yeah, yeah, you know, like you mentioned earlier, you had particle board in your attic. I think you mentioned,
Yeah, I
right?
was like, I've seen enough of those accidents through years of doing insurance claims. I'm like, you fell through it, didn't
Oh, the insurance claims. I should have
you?
known.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, I
but
should say this was the first part of the excitement for
for
the
the month. All
weekend.
right, what else you got?
I hit a major milestone though with my daily driver, my 350Z. I hit 200,000 miles on the odometer, original engine. It
You
was, I think, early morning, drive into work. I saw it coming and just started clicking as safely as I could while I was driving. So,
when you hit your milestones in cars, and I'm just gonna
yeah.
say this right now, you're 60,000, you're 100, not your 150. It's like your 30th birthday party. You're like, meh. But when you hit your 200,000, and you're just like, yeah, hit it, and then it's one of those like bittersweet moments. Like you hit
Yes.
it, damn, now I got to do all the changes, or now it's in the back of your mind. Now it's all that weight is on your shoulders, right here, sitting
Yes.
on your shoulders, like timing's gonna go out like in the next 10,000 miles.
You hit you hit that on the nose, Miles, because that's exactly what I've been thinking ever since I hit this.
The
I
car's gonna blow up. It's a rolling grenade. So
yes, I'm like, but
it's a rolling Molotov cocktail. It's all gonna go up and it's all gonna go in shambles. Go
it's
on.
a paranoia because I mean we know that many cars can hit 300,000 miles even, just with general maintenance and care. I'm not saying this car can't. I know it probably can, but there still is a mentality to it when you're like, this thing's over the hill. You got to take it easy.
It's a
No
VQ,
more
man.
revving.
If you take it, yeah, no more. It's just
No more
like, all right,
burnouts.
I hit my. It's like you hitting like your 30s or your 40s. All right, I'm not going out drinking it. I'm not going to rev anymore. No more burnouts. No more donuts
Yeah.
for this car. It's officially retired now. Like from from my stable of beatdown cars, and and that's just your mentality because you achieve that. But to each their own. It's like it's because you actually respect the car and it's been there with you through that time period. But
I, I
yeah,
recognize that its best years is behind it.
it gave you its best years and you don't care about it. So it's like every relationship you've ever been in. But moving along, yeah, let's do a little shout out to the crowd who's on with us here tonight.
Sure.
Curtis, Mr. Davies on with us tonight. Brian Vela,
Woo.
thank you for joining us here tonight.
Thanks, buddy. Good to
Boom,
see you.
boom. I'm sure the
Yeah.
boys are all hanging out with him. So kudos to them for chiming in right now. Anybody else, go ahead and continue and jump in on the comments. We're going to ask a lot of you tonight. Want to get a lot of input from you as we continue on
Yes.
the night. But I wanted to say, let's do a little compy to kind of get started to break
Woo.
in the pre New Year's season, and then of course celebrate Christmas.
Let's do
So
that.
I got my Christmas ale going on here. Let
Oh
me
yeah.
cheer up. Let's little do a compy.
Let's do it.
You're up.
It- whose turn is it? Mine or yours?
You know what? I'll do it this time. I'm
Go
going to
for
give
it.
a salute to those in the Nissan family, whom we wish good health, and to those we've lost, may we be reminded of them often.
All right, guys.
Kampai.
Drink up. Yes. Kanpai.
Oh man, good stuff.
Mm.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and get into news. So we're going to be sharing the latest articles from the interwebs regarding anything Nissan, Datsun, Infinity related that we feel is worthy of talking about. So both of these are from the official newsrooms and from the media outlets at large. The first one I want to talk about is actually something rather obscure that's made its way to a lot of Nissan fame as of the last few days. And of course, we are talking about the new Fairlady X that just kind of made its way around. Now, for those that haven't had an opportunity to check this out, we're going to drop a bombshell on you right now. Mike, you want to bring up the article? And then, of course,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk a little bit about everything with this vehicle. Now, the crazy part about this vehicle is that a lot of people were like, okay, is this something new Nissan's kind of thinking about and whatnot? But the reality is, this is actually something from a bunch of students that designed it out in Japan. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Hmm.
So these students that actually came from the Nissan Gakuen, which is a Nissan Technology College in Japan, they basically had in mind to create this Fair Lady crossover, if you will. And for those that haven't had an opportunity to look at it, it's a little astonishing at first. It kind of takes you back, and of course, this is again from a college that had kind of come up with the idea of doing this. So, for those that don't know or haven't kind of put it together, this is the entire front fascia of the new Z, which is the body chassis of our Z34Z for those that haven't known, but it's
Hmm.
actually the front chassis. So we're actually getting the hood, the headlights, the grill from the new Z, and everybody's like, okay, what is this off? Is this a new chassis that's being built? And the reality, it's actually on a Murano platform, Murano Cross Cabriolet. Yeah, And there's not a lot of photos of the interior. And Mike, go ahead and scroll down, kind of, and highlight that video that's in there too as well.
Yeah, I'm
But
trying my best to look online here. This seems to be yeah.
yeah, there's some good shots of it too, wheels and everything. So it's not like your true um, concept vehicle rollout. This is actually coming from a college, and just to kind of see where it was going to sit. But I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and take some crowd work here, and I'm gonna get your input. What are your thoughts of this so far?
For me,
Yeah, you.
uh, well, okay. My thing is, first of all, it looks atrocious. It looks. I see what they're trying to do. It reminds me of like what Ford is trying to do with the Mustang and the Mach E. And even when I saw that, I'm like, no, you're watering down the brand, the name of the sports car. You're turning it into this what you might consider a sports crossover, which to me almost feels like at the moment in this point in time to me feels like an oxymoron. And it that's one thing. The second thing is also that when it comes to Fairlady and Z, even though it's called an X, it still has Fairlady, which obviously they're trying to tie themselves to the Z. This is not an official. Obviously, this is a kids, not nothing corporate. Um, Z was always meant to be just the bare essentials, like like racing a. They said driving a Z is like racing a horse. All you need is a saddle. It's mainly one person, two people, two-seater, and now you've got enough here. This with this concept is kind of like, oh, you got a baby seat, a place for your kids. I'm like, it's not Z wasn't ever a family car. Why disrupt that reputation now?
Yeah, and that's kind of how the way that the internet's kind of going with this. And give me the steering wheel real quick, Mike. I'm gonna run a video in the background while we're talking about this.
Sure.
But yeah, that's kind of what the mentality's kind of been on the internet. It has not been complimentary for most of these
Mm-hmm.
comments that have kind of been coming around.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people have kind of met it with that, at least here in the U.S. and everything that I've been kind of following. Um, the college is very proud of it, and naturally,
Oh, and they should be. I give them
and they
credit for
should
that.
be. For a
Yes.
bunch of students for a first draft, it's not too bad. I will say a couple things here. I'm loving like the door handle option.
That's GTR door handles.
That's one of the few things I love about a car is entering in and out of the vehicle. I actually watched like the entire development videos and everything in the Japanese
Yeah.
videos. Now, a lot of this was actually they actually styrofoam the entire side and molded it to give
Yeah.
it a wider stance. And then they actually took the Z taillights here, and then of course they did the lip that you would normally see like from the 432 or the lip that you would see in
Yep.
the old S30s to give it that stance. And it's rough, in general, but I do like the crossover aspect. If it could have been a lot worse, but I will say for a first swing at things, it's
Yeah.
not bad. But
Well,
again, does it belong in the market? That's the big question. Kind of going back to it, I feel like you said, like the Mustang, the crossover version of the Mustang, it was not met with a lot of anticipation. People were like, "Why are you making it?"
mm-hmm.
I like it as a concept vehicle,
Yes.
but I feel like Nissan has a lot of stake in already the SUV game, and for them to come out with something that's as risque as this would be, I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would. I don't think it would boast well. I think it would probably come out for a few years, unfortunately, and just not sell. Considering it's going up against the Nissan flagships, which
Yeah.
are the Murano and everything else that's out there with the SUV, plus the Araya that's going to be dropping out here soon.
Yeah.
I can't see this actually being any type of production vehicle. I think this is just a one-off concept that
Well,
that it was met to be interesting, and it is interesting. So
what I think is the fact that it came from a non-Nissan organization. Yes,
Mhm.
they took some liberties in
Well,
building this, so it's
it
cool.
it's a Nissan organization, but it's the design college,
Yeah.
if you will. So
Now, another thing too is that this car will be shown at the Tokyo Auto Salon next month.
2023, yeah, and
Yes.
that's where I was getting to next. Yeah, it will be shown at the 2023 Auto Salon this upcoming year. So yeah, interesting. So
Two
I
questions.
did, yeah, a few questions. Matthew said this is going to be the first car for new Gen Z enthusiasts. Come on, no, it's not. Be nice. It's
Ah, well, I mean,
no, it's
well, here's the
not.
thing.
I think
Yeah,
again, this is totally a concept, and that's just where this will die.
if
And
it was, yeah, can I?
but you know, you never know. Maybe I could be wrong, but for right now, I don't quite see that.
If
So
I may, I think that if it was an actual sport crossover, why the Murano? Murano is the full size crossover. Meanwhile, you've got perhaps a Rogue or a Kicks that are much smaller and probably fit more
well,
along the
let's
lines
call it
of
what it
what a
is. The
Z
Z's got to
represents.
have that big bootay, and you're
Okay, you
working
got
with
me there.
dimensions.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
talk about wheelbase. I mean, if you're going to do a crossover, you got to start with a familiar platform. The Z, you know, let's talk about the 350Z and the Murano platform. Believe it or
yeah,
not, they share a lot of the same similarities because the platform didn't change that much. For the 350Z guys out there,
yeah.
sorry to inform you of that. If you didn't already know that, unfortunately, that is the truth.
Now,
So, yeah,
yeah,
a few more notes. Jake said, "Burn it with fire." All right, a little brutal, but yes.
yeah.
Let me
Uh,
see here. And Curtis said, "The hatches from a rogue." Oh, yeah, he
it's
might be right.
interesting.
Actually, you
And
know what? Because I heard I did read something where it was a two-part separate, which is kind of cool. You know, like
yeah,
the Chevy Blazer back in the day, where it was one of the few things that I liked about it, or the old God, was it the Passport that did that? And where it would separate like that. I just like the
yeah.
glass would flip up and the hatch would flip
Oh,
down. I dug
yes,
that. And you saw that in like old internationals and stuff like that where they would flip up like that. So,
yeah.
but anyway, but yes,
I
very cool. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I got one more thing now. This is just me going through my nerd brain. I'm not sure if you remember this, Miles, though, but this just goes back to 2015. There was a similar Z-related concept crossover that has been released through Nissan in the past, and I'll share my screen on this. I don't know if you remember this, though, but do you recall the Nissan Grips?
I remember the grips very well.
That came out 2015. It was a
The
world
crazy
premiere
door
concept.
situation. I remember the doors being
The
the
doors.
craziest thing on that. Like how they would just kind of you know, they would be like this, and then one door would go like this, and the other one would go sideways scissors. I
Yeah.
remember this very well.
And now I started thinking back. Okay, it was 2015. Obviously, this new ZR34 wasn't part of the the agenda. This was modeled off of the 370Z or certain principles. Tail lights, just for example, you have the boomerang headlights, which is very similar what which you see in the 370Z. Um, a lot of
You
people
know,
called this a part bicycle, part Z. I'm not sure if
I
you remember that
remember.
part, but
I
yeah,
remember the comments, but you know, a few design aspects that were taken from this. Yeah, it was very smoothed over, and you could see like the Murano and a lot of that kind of influence. And then you know, there was aspects of this car that didn't quite you know, didn't quite hit home. But there were some things that I really enjoyed, like the center grill. I always enjoyed from that vehicle.
yeah,
Um, I always felt like the 370Z was kind of some design aspects with the headlight situation, but the rear, the rear section, I really liked how blacked out the centerpiece was. It just
yeah.
reminded me kind of like a BMW Z series, or kind of taking it back to like the duckbill, some of the duckbill like S30s. I just
Duckbill,
like that,
yeah.
and especially like the taillights in the rear. You can kind of see having that 370Z give and take a little bit if you really kind of look at it, and if you squint, you can see it, you know.
If you
But
squint just hard
if
enough,
you
you
squint
see it.
hard enough and you get some pepper in your eye, you can see it. So I don't know. I that's why I just kind of liked from the rear section, but we're just talking. But anyway,
That's
moving
cool.
along. But Yeah, it was just one of those things that I always when I saw this come up, I it was interesting, but again, Nissan's not strangers to any kind of outstanding concepts. We love to talk about concepts here on the show, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But
True. 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 Now, so Miles, I do have another next article that I want to share with you. Now, I want to talk about a YouTube video that was recently released through Nissan. However, this was through the Nissan Middle East YouTube channel, not the US, not in Europe, Middle East. And this was debuting a tribute video to the East African Safari Rally 240Z, which was the winner of the East African Safari Rally, and his driver, Edgar Hernan. And I do this. Nissan produced a very, very nice 3-minute video to the man, and I want to go ahead and share my screen on this one. For you guys at home, take a look at this. If not, we will have it in the show notes, and we'll share it with you. But I'll run this in the background and tell you a little bit more about it, though. But you see here, Edgar Hernan. He is actually the man that you see in this video. To me, I thought it was Tommy Chong in the beginning. That's kind of what he looks like. I was like, who brought Tommy Chong?
somebody just
And then I
dropped off
realized that's
Tommy
Simmer.
Chong
That's
for no reason.
the tribute drive.
Like Dave's not here, man. All
Dave's
right,
not
got it.
here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, so this video here, of course, you see him here sitting in a chair, watching footage of the history that was being made in 1971 at the East African Safari Rally. The 240Z being the winner. Um, they do say here at the end that rally in general it started with 107 competitors, only 32 finished. Yet what you see here, the Datsun number 11 240Z was the winner of that competition, which is a very, very huge win for Nissan Datsun at the time.
It was big
And
news back then,
honestly,
because
it put
you
the
got to
Z on the
remember
map.
what you got to remember the time period at that time. Dotson was really looking for a foothold to, they really weren't being successful in the race on Sunday, sell on Monday concept because it was so competitive at that time. So for them to have that type of win at that time period really
Yeah.
meant a lot in the US a little bit, but for the most part, abroad, overseas, over the pond, if you will,
Hmm.
that really kind of set them in stone for a lot of diehard people, diehard racing fanatics that actually wanted to have a sporty vehicle, and it showed what the vehicle was completely capable. I mean, this led into it what Tasmania, the oh my God, Tarmac Tasmania, the racing series out of Australia. Those crazy guys that did that for years and years with those Datsun series. And I mean, the Datsun went on to, we don't have to talk about all the nostalgia of the Datsun S30 and how remarkable it was at that time period in its racing
Hmm.
pedigree. But I mean, this just is I think it's a beautiful video. I think it's a
Hmm.
beautiful nod
Yes.
to the man, and respectfully. And I said the same thing every time I see these things. I'm like, oh my God, and you've heard me say this, and everybody who knows me say this. Like our heroes are like slowly leaving leaving this world or wanting to get in retirement, and
Hmm.
we don't pay them enough homage. And I love the fact that Nissan paid homage to them, and I love the fact that they put this livery out for this Z.
Yeah.
I just thought it was well done. Now the big question is, will they make a rally version of the new Z? It's too early to say.
Mm.
Got chips are limited
Yeah.
around the country,
Computer
but I
chips.
will
Yeah.
say if Nissan can can let go of maybe like 3 or 5 chips, let's make some rally versions. Let's
Yeah.
get back into
And
that. I don't know. So just
what
throwing it out there.
and I'm glad you mentioned it though, Miles, because I didn't explain further that yes, further second half of this video is where you do see the new Z with the infamous, the legendary 240Z livery from the Safari Rally. And by the way, this video is on mute. However, it is in English. There is, I think, Arabic subtitles having come from
Awesome.
Nissan Middle East. But you want to say that the the word used most often throughout this video is the word tough. He says, "You have to be tough." He goes, "You never know how tough you are until it's the only choice you have." It's a very interesting comment. And then he goes on to say, to become a legend, you have to stay tough. And that's when you start to see the new Z enter the video, where you see it here ripping through the sand. I'm going to go ahead and keep this video going. So it is definitely making a statement that the Z is here. We are paying tribute to history. Yes, and you're right. I would love to see this continue or
You know,
re-enter some sort of
and I
endurance.
can't see it not being resilient. I mean, it's built off of an already performing platform from the beginning. You've got an engine that's already performing and putting out what it needs to put out. You know, I mean, other than some fine tuning and some belly shields, proper lighting, send it, homie. You know, build it, send it, and see what it can do out there. I hope somebody out there kind of makes a version of it. I'm sure they will once the vehicle starts getting a little more availability and to the masses. But
Yeah.
you know, very cool video, and I just want to give a shout out to everybody at Nissan that came up with this idea and the video. I wish we would have saw a little more stateside.
Hmm.
I don't. I always kind of get upset that
I
Nissan people don't recognize the fact that we still do recognize and know a little bit about that history. I would have thought I would have saw it in the US market,
That's
but here we had to pull it from the Middle East market, which made no sense to me. I'm not sure what else
I
what other markets this kind of played in. If you're from another part of the country, let us know if this video was kind of shown in full production or and shown in your market. I want to know how far that kind of stretched out there. So.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I was sort of thinking the same thing. I was even trying to look at the U.S., or at least what I thought it was the U.S. Nissan channel on YouTube. Wasn't there. It was only in the Middle East. So yes, if we see it anywhere else, for those of you that are with us online,
And it's such a great
give us a
video,
shout out.
great production. They really did a good job with it. Whoever the production team
Beautiful
was at.
videography
So
for
if they're
sure.
listening, which
Yes.
I doubt, but hey, shout out to you. We absolutely love this video, and everybody loves that video. On that note, a few comments here. Diego mentioned he goes, "Yeah, I love that video. I can't agree with you more, Diego. We actually loved it. I actually downloaded and saved it, so in case it ever disappears, I still have it on as part of my Nissan history backup files. So that's how good it is.
Yep.
So yeah,
I did have an idea on this, Miles, though, because obviously we do attend ZCons very often. This would be a person I have not seen at ZCon that I would love to see at ZCon.
I
Right
couldn't agree
next
more.
to,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
right next to John Morton, and Peter Brock. Where's this guy? He'd be so awesome.
You know,
Granted,
I,
he's probably,
I
unless he's in the Middle East, I don't know where
whenever
he
I'm in
lives,
front
but
of an executive from Nissan or we were kind of talking, I always say, Nissan has this habit of not recognizing its heroes as much as it should, and there's so few and far between. And our time periods of racing are separated by these big, massive gaps. Make your heroes, honor them, and show them the homage that they deserve, because we're an underdog society, for Nissan fans. It is what it is. We constantly we if you're a Nissan or a Datsun or Infinity fan, guess what, you're an underdog, and that kind of gives you a badge of honor. And I feel like we should always be honoring our heroes and constantly giving them homage and making sure that they understand we appreciate everything that they did for the brand all those years. So I don't know, and making our new heroes. All the people that are truly helping to push the brand forward and continue
mhm,
that level of excellence or what we expect from it. Being huge supporters of the brand. So
yep.
yeah.
I
So,
know you. Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no. I recall you leading that charge many times, and I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do. On that note, we got
Yeah.
more to kind of talk about, but
Yeah,
yeah,
you got this next article, don't you, Miles?
I do got the next article. So, next article here is actually going to be about surprisingly values. I guess how we're going to head this up. The let's see here. And give me the steering wheel, Mr. Mike.
Sure. Don't call me that.
Only my mom calls me that. Let me see here. But the Nissan Versa. So, of all the things that we're going to talk about here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Nissan Versa. Is actually now the most affordable vehicle in the United States, coming in with a price tag at around $16,700. The new Nissan is actually going to be the most affordable vehicle in the U.S. If you haven't had an opportunity to check it out, here it is. Again, me and Mike are pretty sport heavily minded, but occasionally it is nice to know that we can save a few bucks. And of course, ride in style. I dig the news. I believe it or not, I wasn't a fan of the last Versa. It was okay. It wasn't too bad. I've driven in them before. It's an eco box. It's not too bad. But I will say that
Yeah.
this new Versa, it's kind of stepped up a little bit. I'm liking the interior. I'm just liking all the amenities that you get. I mean, for 16.7, dude, that's not too bad. I feel like the level of comfort and luxury and coolness has kind of stepped up a little bit. I will say that I'm not the hugest fan of these wheels. I feel like
Those,
they were stolen from. I feel like they were stolen from something that I can't put my hands on. But I,
I
I, I feel like it's old, like
it's a
domestic something.
yes. It reminds me. Yeah, and the only reason why I know this is because I had them. It reminds me of a early '90s Pontiac. Uh, they almost call them like salad shooter wheel. Not salad shooter wheels, but
Yeah,
I had a Grand Am, but yeah, little blades. I swear to God, it reminded me of my first car. That's how crazy it was.
it
Yeah.
was a. I would say that I feel like they took the wheels from like a Grand Am or like an old like Mercury Cougar. So I can't put my hands on it, or my finger on it, but it's just like Jesus Christ, what is it? So anyway, but
I
yeah, on that note, but yeah, I just liked it. I thought it for being economical at 16.7, you really can't get a lot for 16.7 in a vehicle these days, and I feel like
I
you
I
got a kid going
agree.
to college or you want to pick these up secondhand, not too bad.
Yeah.
It would be pretty cool to see something like this in like a Cup Series. I'm not saying anything, but
Hmm.
there's a Canadian Sentra Spec Cup. I'm just saying we
Yeah.
could probably do a Versa Cup here US wide, but
Exactly. We cover the Micro Cup that's out of Canada, which is a spec race coming from in Canada, the most affordable car there. We should do the same thing with these Versas, a Versa Cup US spec. That'd be
well, let's
awesome.
not, let's talk about the best part. And Diego actually mentioned it. He goes, "Does it come with a manual gearbox?" Yes, it
It
comes with a manual
does.
gearbox. You can
Base
tell me
trim.
I can still rock the three on the floor and just and I'm buying it for 16.7.
Hmm.
You can't really beat that.
It
I'm just
just
saying.
just to call out the specs on this for just a second though, it is a 1.6 liter four cylinder,
We know.
122 horses,
I'm not expecting
100.
300 horsepower out of this thing. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
it's a 5-speed manual transmission, which is kind of weird for 2022. Typically, you always see a 6, but it's a 5-speed. I
Nah,
don't care
something that
though.
low, I'd feel happy burning through the gears. I hope that it gets as crazy as the Ultimate Energy people that are out there. I hope to see those things blazing past me in the fast lane doing 120. Yeah, that's what I want to see the new Versa
You're
doing.
talking about big Versa energy. We need to create that page, man.
Big
If it's
Versa.
not there already.
You know what? Let's get on it tonight. Create the page. Big Versa energy. But yeah, I dig it. It's not too bad, honestly. Like, and I'm not hyping it just because it's a new thing from Nissan. It really kind of checks a box for a lot of people. If I was a college kid and my parents dropped me off a 5-speed Versa, I'd be like, but then I'd be like, I
I
still
think you'd
got
learn to
it.
love it. It's one of those cars where, and that's so it's so nice about the simplicity of four cylinders, especially the older they get. They just seem so simple in nature and affordable. And I don't want to say disposable, but you get that. you get a feeling that the car is fun just based on how cheap it is. Because you're like, if I crash it, who cares? It's so cheap. I can buy them. They're a dime a dozen,
You
and then
res-
that kind of gives you a it kind of lifts the gate on what you really want to do
well,
to a car
you
and
know
having
what's
fun.
funny is everything is, and it's funny. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it's like nothing's rare until it's rare. And what I mean
Ooh,
by that is like all these people that were out there destroying the original S30s because they were like cheap as hell, right? Nobody
yes, they
cared about
sold a
them.
bunch. Yeah,
I mean, look at what people are paying for like Corollas now. Corolla
yeah, you got
hatchbacks. We were throwing these things away for the longest time. Let's talk about like the Nissan S12.
to.
It's
Ooh,
it's it's competitor at this time. Those things are like jumping through the roof now, and it's like they were never worth anything. But you never know. I mean, I think this is kind of like a little bit of a lightning in a bottle. It's one of those things that eventually people are going to catch on, and then it's just going to be one of those 10, 15 years from now, people are going to be like, yeah, I got that Versa 5 speed. Yeah, that's right. So
it's
they're
kind of
going to be
cool though.
slamming them,
Yeah.
airbagging them, and that's what's going to happen. So
Yeah, that's true. And you did mention the front end having that nice. I want to say there was a facelift involved with
it
this
looks
Versa.
good. You
Yeah,
just you give me like a little .8 of a drop. You give me some wheels that
a
aren't
little drop.
salad shooters, that aren't like I I don't know, like Ninja Stars. I just get rid of them, like
Yeah,
that weren't pulled off a Pontiac Grand Am or Beretta back in the day. I mean,
yeah, those
get
are the
those out of
ones.
here. Yeah, those are the first thing that are going. Get them out of here, and then it wouldn't be a bad ride, for a 20 something going up from there. I could see that. Diego actually said, "Nice. I could see it as my next winter car." Yeah, I could see that too as well. I could see me buying that for my kid or the wife as a beater. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Well, anyway,
yeah,
but yeah, that's everything. Again, kudos to Nissan for being the most affordable car in the U.S. With the Nissan Versa, overtaking the Kia Rio before that.
hmm
Get out of
it's
here,
it's
Kia
great.
Rio.
Get out of here,
You
Gabriel. Yeah, exactly.
stupid gerbils. Just get out of here.
Well,
All right.
Miles, I've got the last article as part of our Nissan news this episode, and what I like about this article that I'm about to share is that we've said this in the past episodes. There are some articles that just really define exactly what we're looking for as part of the Nissan Nerd podcast. It just kind of checks all the boxes of how uh, little known that it is, how nerdy the article gets, and this is one of them. So I'll go ahead and share my screen on this one. This one is, let's go for it. To stream. All right. Nissan is to use green metals from Kobe steel in its domestic cars. And what they mean by green is that
Go on.
they are having steel production. The production of steel is a um, carbon dioxide footprint through the manufacturing processes is little to no carbon dioxide footprint or emissions footprint in the supply chain and manufacture of these cars. Not only is the automotive community trying to create cars that don't emit carbon dioxide, but also in the manufacturing process and also in the scrapping process. It really many car manufacturers and Nissan specifically are looking into this big. No matter where you go, reducing or eliminating carbon dioxide footprints in every step, the entire life of a car.
Well,
So
through the
that's
entire production and the life of the car.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
and so this article really talks about it. Nissan is partnering with Kobe Steel out of Japan. They have a product which eliminates CO2 emissions from the manufacturing process, and this steel will first be used in the Nissan Serena minivan that is sold only in Japan, beginning in spring of 2023. The cool part about all this is that although this process has been used in the automotive industry in the past, for example, in maybe motorsports, Nissan is the first automaker in Japan to use this process as a for a mass-produced vehicle. So kudos to Nissan for doing that. Kobe Steel also will provide aluminum sheets. Materials that Nissan will use in stamping of parts. They're saying that it is also CO2 emissions free. Seems kind of funny at the time in this article they talked about it. They said that the smelting process, the melt, let's just say the
It will say it the right way. Melting.
schmelting, the schmelting process of the aluminum sheets
Get a little
is
spetty.
accomplished through solar power. And it kind of made me laugh because you realize how much power energy is required to melt aluminum. It's like 1800 degrees Fahrenheit to melt aluminum, and you're doing it through solar power. Like that's a lot. That's dedication for sure, man. So
I will
that
say this though, if you notice the trend though, and Nissan does this, but they learn from past experiences. So this is obviously a new process. It's not without its bumps and bruises as you kind of go through the process. So what are they going to do? They're going to launch it on the Serena first off, and
yes,
so they're just like, well, if the Serena goes to
this
hell,
is an
or
experiment. They're starting with
just
this minivan.
whatever.
Yeah,
But the thing that's one thing. On one side you can take it like that as a backhanded compliment, but the reality is it's actually innovative, but with a small amount of risk. And that's one thing that I love about Nissan is that they'll actually take these innovative risks, put it out there into production, so people get an opportunity to test it out and get it in the market. They're a car manufacturer. They're well seasoned. They're obviously going to test all these steels, and that was my concern, being as a person that looks at structural deconstruction and everything that I look at, being an insurance adjuster, I look at just wrecks all day long, structural, collapses on all that stuff in automotive industries. So I get to kind of see what happens with different types of steel and different mixes and the metallurgy and that kind of goes into these pores when they're putting in, and what's the tensile strengths of stuff. And so when I hear stuff like this, I'm like, wow, that's completely revolutionary.
yeah,
Let's see how it does with these crash certifications and everything else. But for them to put it in a Japanese market, which is extremely critical and extremely checks and balances for those safety measures, it's going to be a win for them. I just hope that eventually this can be um, combed out and then and made into the entire production line, as long as it's safe for the entire production line and the benefit wins there. So
well, good point that you mentioned that too. Is that in this article, although there was no mention that for some reason this particular grade of steel with this improved, more environmentally friendly process, it didn't mention whether it was stronger or weaker. I imagine about the same because I mean, just
I
for
would
safety,
imagine the same.
quality,
Yeah, I mean,
reliability. Yeah,
there's a lot of ways they test tensile strength
yeah,
for steel, and I'm sure they're not going to be like, oh, we'll put it out there and just not know anything about it. They're
yeah.
just not that kind of company. I'm sure they've been messing with this for some time, and now we're putting it out to production or potentially putting it out to production. So kudos to
Yep.
them.
Now there was some really good facts that they mentioned in this article. This is where the part where the nerd part of me really enjoyed it. They said that they really let you know about the big picture about automotive production, the industry. They said that steel parts account for 60% of a vehicle's weight. Aluminum accounts for about 10% of a vehicle's weight. And they're looking into discussions with manufacturers like Kobe to develop these processes for cleaner manufacturing process. So Nissan does aim for to achieve neutrality in its carbon emissions footprint by 2050 for all stages of its vehicle's life cycle emissions. Currently, manufacturing takes up to about 9% of all emissions, and 88% is actually during the use of the vehicle,
Nice.
and then the remaining is in actual scrapping of the vehicle. Though they did so, this is actually really interesting. Though they said that the rise of EVs obviously becoming more common and being the wave of the future. Coincidentally, there's Nissan is expecting a rise in the emissions during the manufacturing process for EV vehicles. So this is why I think you might say they're being proactive, getting this conversation started early
Yeah,
before you see it applied to everything,
I would
all
agree with you
EVs.
100%. I mean, the scrutiny is only going to get more stringent. The scrutiny is only going to get more severe and severe as any manufacturer begins to start putting out a vehicle, whether it's a mass production or a well-known manufacturer
Mhm.
versus all these EV companies like Lucid or Rivian or Tesla. We shouldn't say Tesla's now mainstream, but Lordstown, all these guys that are kind of putting these EV vehicles to market here that are coming up soon, that they're going to have to fall into the same line and fall to the same scrutiny that everybody else does. So for a manufacturer to put this out, I mean, Nissan could be leading the way on this, and then you might see other companies do that too as well. We talked about this about 5 or 6 episodes back, where these big companies like Toyota or Nissan will potentially put out production of another brand through their stamping
Yes,
processes. And this
as
is
an
a very
experiment,
this is a
as an
very
experiment.
real world. Sometimes they need the production. Hey, we've got downtime for a certain time period, and then they'll pump out X amount of vehicles for these X amount of vehicles of this off brand, and then they
Yep,
start making a partnership. And this was
yep,
like, we saw this a lot, or we saw the rumors of this happening during COVID, where production was all over the place and people didn't, companies didn't know what they were doing, and they were just trying to keep the lights on, or and keeping maintaining the growth quota, for the stock, if you will. But yeah,
yep.
great article. Yeah,
I
we'll see how that goes going into
Yep,
2023. We'll give you a little more detail on this. Again, I know it's a super nerdy article, but again,
yep. I
that's who we are.
There's one last thing you mentioned stock, and this was the last thing I wanted to point out. Though they were saying that this whole process is not. You can't assume this is going to be a cheaper process
Mhm.
to perform. So they're saying that although it may be more expensive compared to conventional manufacturing methods, Nissan did not say whether or not it will affect the price of the cars. I imagine maybe in the future it will. I imagine with more volume will become a lower price, but there probably is going to be some sort of
Well, if you're
premium.
spearheading it as one of the
Yes.
first companies, the
Yeah.
reality is you're taking all the bumps and bruises initially, but the cool thing on the backside is now you've figured everything out, and yeah, people can follow you and learn from your mistakes, but you've have all the development and all the money invested in the development of the production. So you're ahead of the game. It gives you that springboard of 6 months, a year and a half. So everybody has to catch up to your wave. They're living in your wake. So
Ooh.
yeah,
I.
and Nissan, I will say this change from the last. When we saw this ever since the pre-COVID
Mhm.
time period, and COVID had nothing to do with it. Nissan was already on the path of a major change around the time of the Gosen fallout, and
Mhm.
the Gone fallout. My apologies.
Don't.
And they were already going to make that change, and COVID had a little bit to do with that. But I don't know, just my opinion. But we
I.
talked about this, but
Yeah. I think in summary though, if you are a person who likes to go to Whole Foods and find foods that is organically grown, and then if you go to restaurants and you ask for food made from animals that were humanely put down, then you probably also want a Nissan Serena because of how much less emissions it emits during its process. So that's that's the connection I'm seeing, man. If you're woke, you want a Nissan
all
Serena
right. As
in
I sip my
Japan.
organic beer, and
When you get
yes,
down to the details,
my
that's what
tofu
this is
munching
what you want.
lifestyle does nod to you, sir. All right, now moving along. On the note of non-tofu lifestyle, we're going to talk a little bit about motorsports here. So we're going to enter into a segment where we look into Nissan's current racing portfolio, entries, and how they're doing, basically. So, Mike, the big news, and obviously a lot of the big Nissan budget with racing in consideration, is happening on the Formula E platform. Let's talk a little
Yes.
bit about that.
Yeah, let's go for it. Now, what's happening at this point right now with the Nissan Formula E team is a lot of preseason testing before its first race, which happens January 14th next year. So what are we? We're less than a month away from the beginning of the next season of Formula E. So what Nissan's been doing here since then, since the last time we spoke about it, is that they have actually concluded their preseason testing. It was a total of 5 days in Valencia, Spain, at the local track there, which Nissan was able to finally put real testing to the new Gen 3 car. And we've talked about the Gen 3 car, which is new as part of Formula E, quite a lot. It's lighter, it's faster, it's all-wheel drive. It, I really think this next Formula E season is going to be off. It's just going to be crazy. So I definitely encourage it though. But anyway, getting back into Nissan though. They spent a series of 5 days testing the car. They began with a lot of the car's setup on the track. A lot of it began from their studying of tests that they've actually performed from the factory beforehand. And they're saying that as they got further along those 5 days, they transitioned into actually improving performance based on drivability and overall, according to the team lead Tommaso Volpe, he mentioned that they saw good results. In fact, their two drivers, both new for this year, saw consistent top 10 fastest times on the track. Now, you got to remember, this is all teams using the same track at the same time. So even though everybody's testing, it's still somewhat of a competition. And Nissan did see their Formula E team among the top 10 fastest cars each day. And on one day specifically, they were the fastest. So some very good results, just as they said. They said here that what they're doing now that this preseason testing has wrapped up, they mentioned that they will be entering the Christmas break and recharging their batteries. Yeah, that's an EV joke.
Woo! All
Cheesy.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but seriously, I mean, Nissan has put a lot of development into the Formula E series for some time, and they've actually been one of the first manufacturers in the Formula E series to really kind of give a full backing for it. And you can tell if you go back and follow the history, they they definitely can be proud or boastful of that as this series starts to develop, if you will. I really think it's starting to finally get its roots and it's starting to blossom in the next year. You're seeing other manufacturers that are kind of raising an eyebrow and getting into the Formula E. I still
Yeah.
think that a Netflix episode might happen one of these days, but again, we don't know anything of that.
Yeah.
That's all hearsay. I hope
Yeah.
it's all moving in the right direction. So.
Now, I do want to highlight one more article that had come in this case from therace.com. They were talking about
Uh,
a lot of questions that came as a result of this preseason testing amongst many of the manufacturers of the Formula E teams. And specifically, it's regarding to the Gen 3 car in general and the formula of the Gen 3 car. So we might actually start seeing this, especially in the beginning, as we start actually see actual racing. So just to give you a quick summary of what's happening, this actually happened to our old man Sebastian Buemi. You know, he's moved on to the Jaguar team, but
I
he's
saw that.
still racing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now he did have an accident where the car he ran into a tire wall with his car. Unfortunately, I believe he is okay. There's
Yeah,
no need
he's
to
fine.
worry. We still love him, you know.
We still give him a little.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Now the concern though was why he hit the tire wall, and according to what they're saying here is that the whole issue began when the car lost power. So there was an inverter problem. The car shut down, no power. And normally that wouldn't be a problem, but per the formula of Formula E for these Gen 3 cars,
Mhm.
the cars do not have mechanical brakes in the rear anymore. It's only in the front. The hydraulic brakes, they're only for the front, but there aren't any in the rear. What they're using in the rear is brake energy regeneration. They're regenerating that power, so they have to absorb it. But what happens when the car dies and the car is essentially off? That means there's no brakes in the rear, and so this caused an accident that could have been much worse than what it was. But I think it highlighted a concern that we might actually see in the coming months as the new Formula E season begins.
They're just gonna slap a couple Z32 brakes on the back, and they're gonna fix all that. That's what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah,
That's it. They're gonna brake bias that, and then
yeah,
bam. I'm
exactly.
figuring like 80-20, 80 front,
80.
20 back. That's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna say right now. Yeah.
Now the crazy part about it, I mean, I agree with you. We should just probably propose that situation to
I'm
to
gonna send
all
an
the
email right
teams.
now. I'm already on the email.
Yeah, you're gonna offer them some
Yeah.
Sumitomo two pot.
Right.
Get break
Sumitomo
out.
Tupac, 20-year-old Sumitomo Tupac. That's gonna fix your problem right up. All right. I know a
I,
guy. Hold on.
I know a guy. I know a guy. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And you want them aluminum or steel? No, that was the fronts. Though, but yeah. Anyway, but they
We're gonna nerd out. Nerd
yes,
out.
yes.
Moving on. All right.
Now, when you combine this concern with the fact that majority of Formula E tracks are street tracks and not legitimate historical tracks or traditional tracks, what that means is that most street tracks they have little to no runoff areas, so that
Yeah.
if an issue like this
All
happens,
wall, baby.
it's going to be a wall, man, and that means there's danger for the driver. So now,
Yeah.
this is a very fine line. This whole in this article here, and again, we'll put it in the show notes. Uh, there's a fine line about who's liable and what's going to happen. The teams would love to do something about it, but if you want to stay within the formula of Formula E, that means Formula E has to change. So their engineers or their team, the Formula E directors, need to find a solution and mandate it for all vehicles. And that's going to take some time. And yet it's going to happen. The first race of this season is going to happen before real action or decision is made. So
It's nothing
yeah,
new for series to change rules mid-series, and then everybody jumps on board or makes the leap to the safety aspect or whatever is a requirement of everything
hmm
that's kind of coming out at the time. But yeah, I'm with you. It's definitely going to be something that's going to be hanging above the series this year,
yeah.
as we kind of move into 2023. So
This is the first of many changes and many concerns. This is going to be a transitional year, and this is why I really think it's going to be exciting. But I just hope that in the end, obviously everybody's safe, walks out of this thing alive. But I'm
agreed.
looking forward to it, man. I'm going to be watching. I think I
Well, we watched the
Formula
last two
E.
years, so yeah, this next series is going to be up there. I mean, I'm loving the new livery. I'm loving the all the involvement that Nissan has placed on
Yeah,
this for the upcoming year, and you can
yeah.
tell that they're in it to win this year. So let's see how it goes. So
The crazy part is that it's been hard to watch. Not hard to watch, but difficult to gain access to the videos. So I really hope that's one of the things that we improve.
yeah,
And once I find out, Miles, I'll share with you, and of course with everybody online, all you guys with this.
we'll give you anything
Uh,
that we have as far as videos. Continue to look for those on Facebook and of course our Instagrams, as we're still learning how to make sure that you guys get everything that you need as soon as we can find it. So
yes.
all
Now,
right.
how the second part of Nissan's involvement with motorsports typically involves Super GT. That's typically your baby, Miles. Anything?
So, Super GT. Let's see here. Now, I want to show a few people a couple things here in just a few minutes. Now, for Super GT, obviously, we ended the year and in 2022 on a high note with the Calsonic team winning in the 500 series, and then, of course, a really good showing for the college, the Realize team. I couldn't have asked for a better year as a Calsonic fan. It's one of those that goes down in history as one of the years that makes me happy. But let's talk a little bit about what's going to be happening for 2023. So 2023, we got a little bit of time left on the clock, but we're not going to see the series actually even begin until April 15th or 16th. The first race is going to be at Okayama International Circuit. And then, of course, we are going to be going into the typical 8 round series. So as the series unfolds, we'll definitely let you know and move on. Now, the other thing people have kind of been asking me is, or inquiring about, is has the driver lineup been picked?
Mm,
And the reality is no. Nissan hasn't officially released its driver lineup. There is a lot of idea that not a lot of changes are going to be happening because there was so much success. But unfortunately, with some of the other drivers, there does need to be some change up. A rumor through the Nismo news platform was that they just kind of had this myriad of new drivers and existing drivers at the Nismo festival, that they were trying out
ooh,
drivers. But I think they were just kind of testing out um, these drivers and how they were just reacting with the teams and their involvement. But again, I don't see that as being any type of insight of who's actually going to be behind the wheel for the upcoming 2023 season. So right now,
is it?
nothing. Um,
It reminds me of like F1, what they call silly season, where you hear a bunch of rumors,
It's
you
all
never know.
it's all rumors for right
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah.
But I did want to go ahead and show this off, and
Ooh,
and this is something that will kind of fall under the radar, but I want to make sure that nobody kind of missed it. So for the 2023, there is a Fuji 24-hour race, where Nissan, of course, what we talked about in the last episode, that Nissan's new Nissan Z racing concept will be featured at the Fuji 24-hour race, where you'll actually get an opportunity to see this vehicle in action. So very interesting to see how it is. Now, keep in mind what you're seeing there is two vehicles that will be fielded for the
oh
Fuji
yeah.
race 24 hours.
So you're telling me that wasn't a fancy Instagram filter? That was actually two cars. That's what I see
It
here.
is
Okay.
actually going to be two cars from what I have found so far.
Is
So
it the spec GT4? Like, because remember we had talked about that in the past, where we know the GT4 spec car is coming out, but is this a contender? Is this the same that, or is it a different type of spec? Do you imagine?
I don't have exact details, and I could be putting my foot in my mouth, but you know what? I'm 2 beers deep. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna go ahead and say
All
yes.
right,
And if not, hold my
feeling
feet to the fire
brave.
with me walking amongst the cars and coffee or the super lap battlegrounds. Miles, you're a complete liar. Well, guess what? Today I'm not. So,
You're a
but
visionary. Yeah, 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 yeah.
moving on. But yeah,
Yes.
that's everything that's coming out for the Super GT. Now, Mike, we covered Super Nissan Challenge this upcoming year, and honestly, it was a great year for Nissan Challenge. We really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
Any news that's kind of come out of the camp for Nissan Challenge for 2023, or have they released dates or anything yet?
So for 2023, the actual schedule has not been released as per what I've seen. However, the last race of 2022 of this year just wrapped up, and a- a- if not, let's run through that just first, real quick though. Majority of the So by the way, I should mention though is that as far as the 2022 season, us here at the Nissan Nerd Podcast kind of joined. We learned of this race a little later
We
in the
knew we
year, so
finally
we
got the
we
input that we
covered.
needed about mid-year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
So
we covered probably solidly the last three races, I believe. But
I agree.
uh,
Yeah.
the last race here was December 11th, so not too long ago at Willow Springs International Raceway, legendary Willow Springs. We the the Nissan Challenge Facebook didn't really have much on updates. However, if I go to their, let's just say their results page through their website, they do show here
There's a
those
lot
who
more information.
actually
Yeah.
who participated and their position in not only round 8 but in the entire league. So all the results are here. So again, there are 4 classes inside the Nissan Challenge. Each each class obviously pertaining to what mods are in the car. stock, modified, was it turbocharged, is it naturally aspirated, etc. So what I wanted to do here is just kind of name off a few names, give them their due as having been the top two or top three of each of their class for this season. In Class 1, Charles Park in his R35 GTR is in first place, 96 points.
Well,
Mike,
yeah, I think he took the series actually. Charles with
oh yeah,
Power Trick from Power Tricks actually ended up taking the series. Kudos to Mr. Charles Parks. So we want to give him a shout out. So
honestly, he essentially dominated the entire class. He having almost
yeah,
five
yeah.
times the amount. Second place only had 19 points. Charles Park had 96. It kind of goes to show on points alone, let you know how
Charles is a
involved Charles was versus Mike
suspension guru, so
or
I
the
can't
others.
see that. Plus, with the powerhouse of the R35, not to say that has anything to do with it. It's still a lot of car to handle. But kudos
Yeah.
to Charles Parks. I do want to give an honorable mention
Hmm.
to Takeshi Sato, 16th place,
Okay.
who I'm actually a huge fan of.
Are you?
Yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. So I wanted to give him a shout out for hanging in there and finishing out this series. So kudos to him. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Moving on into Class 2, though, here. This race is actually
it's
one of
broken
the
up into four
closer
classes. Yeah.
wins.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Luke Lederman wins first place, 75 points for the season in his Z33
class
Nissan
two,
350Z.
good
Yes,
job.
sir.
Class
Tom
three,
Wieba was second place, 50 points in his G35. Third place goes to Malco. I'm just going to butcher that last name. 43 points in his
Zurieta.
370Z
Yeah.
Z34. Can you have a better chance reading that than I do? I guess
It's
we
because
are
I'm good.
products of the local school systems, so I don't want to.
Class three, just to give a shout out to Adam Zia and Maria Hinojoso. Hinojosa. Yeah,
Yep,
Mario
86 points and
Hinojosa.
43 points.
And then, of course,
Uh,
class four to not be forgotten, Sandy Isaacs, Andrew Kin, and Adrian Giros. Good job
there
for
you
you
go.
guys getting out there.
Yes.
Again, I'm really a big fan of the Nissan Challenge series. I want to see a little bit more going into next year. I really want to follow it, and I
Yeah.
just want to see more content. So if you are a driver or if you're planning to get involved with it, post some stuff. We'll list it on here. We want to hear about it. We really
Mhm.
are excited about that series, and it's brand specific. What can't you love? So, but yeah.
Absolutely right. Honestly, Miles, that wraps up our
Oh,
motorsports
that's
update for the
news. That's
year.
motorsports. We're done, son. That is the
Woo!
end of 2022. I feel like I just gave birth. So
So weight off your
that's a weight
shoulder.
off my shoulders. So
Weight.
let's talk a little bit about about this time. We have the time to ourselves. You people are stuck with us. So now we can actually have a little bit of fun. So let's talk a little bit about back alley chat, for the end of the year. Back alley chat, end of the year 2022. What are we going to talk about? What is kind of weighing on our minds? What is going to be the question that we finish out the year with and carry into the next year? So let's talk about everything that we failed at this year. Let's talk about everything that we
that
hope
we
to not fail out in 2023. So Mike, I'm just going to propose this question. What are
Okay.
your car resolutions for 2023 that you may have felt short for in 2022?
Well, I,
And
I
again, this goes to anybody else out there. If you have some car
yes.
resolutions that you want to throw up out there, tell us about it. I want to finish my car. I want to, you know what? I'm going to buy the new damn Z if I can ever afford it without the $4 billion MSRP markup of MSRP markup at the dealer. Tell us anything. Hey, you know what? I finally want to get that engine in, or I finally want to finish this damn project car, or I want to find my damn project car. Tell us about it. We'll talk about it here in the
Yes.
comments. But Mike, my question
Let
to you is, what are
you're
your
abs-
car resolutions for 2023? New year, new
so
problems.
my new year, new problems. I've got a few. Uh, the first one is, and I'm actually working on it right now. which is the rebuild, new engine, or refurbishing a used engine for my Z32 300ZX. We've talked about it multiple times. I spun a bearing. I found another engine that, as of current, by all tests that I've taken, it should be good. I'm actually doing a compression test this weekend on it though. But um, my goal is to have this car running by spring break, and drive this thing to ZCon for 2023 July. Actually happening in the Los Angeles area. ZCon happening this year. So that is goal number one: getting this car exactly how I want it and reliable enough so that I can take it on a cross country trip to the West Coast. And honestly, I want to go a little bit past that. Once Econ's over, I want to go north, along the 101. See San Francisco. I want to see Portland, dude. Honestly, this sounds so crazy. I kind of I've heard so much about Vancouver, which, I mean, that's far, and much less coming back. That is a
You should
huge
just keep going
ask.
all the way to Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah, it's fine.
Again,
Why
and
not?
this is the dream right now. My goal number one, obviously, is get it running, get it to LA and back at a minimum. But if I feel confident enough, I want to go ahead and extend that trip up north, and then come back. So
I
that
think it'll
that
be a
is
good
that's
time.
goal number one.
People
Yeah.
think I'm slow because I'm from Canada, eh? Sorry, I say that because we have
Yeah.
Canadian people who listen to it. But I have to say, Simpsons definitely.
That's a Simpsons line. I
That
knew it. Yeah, yeah. Aside from Nissan, I think I should probably have a Simpsons podcast
we
of my
should
own.
probably throw a Simpsons podcast out there eventually, one of these days. But yeah, to each his own.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, honestly, that's a formidable amount of accomplishments for 2023. And you know what? I'm about it, man. You get that engine, you give me a platform, I'll build that
Yeah.
VG with you. We'll get it done and we'll get you going. The goal is we'll be up at ZCon for 2023. That is our plan
Yep.
for the big thing on our radar. So maybe we'll just do a drive or follow behind you as a
Support vehicle.
support vehicle
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
minivan, of course, because Daddy needs his luxury. And then we'll go from there. I'll be the mobile Z32 toolbox, and then
Yeah.
we'll kind of keep you going as
Yeah.
you break stuff along the way. I'll have
Yeah.
a harness in the back. I'll have all the good stuff in the back that normally 2020 Z32s break as we move forward. But
True.
yeah, and
True.
then from
True.
after California, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So
At that point, I might as well. I got to be damn sure before
yeah,
I
we'll kind of go from there. So,
depart from LA, which direction I
yeah,
go.
but
I
again,
have.
and that's pretty formidable, man. Good job.
Yeah.
So, lot to put a
Thanks.
that's a lot of stress to put on yourself. I'm very proud of you.
Now that's goal number one. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. By the way,
Good.
that's goal number one. Goal number two is to actually get my 620 pickup reliable for at least city use. The
Your
last time it
620 is so sad
was.
because it really just runs. All you got to do is just
Essentially, it
drive it.
runs. It just needs a carburetor rebuild, and
Dude, that's like basic. That's
I
basic
know,
bitch stuff.
I
Get it
know,
done.
I know, I know.
Nope,
That's the thing.
that's
So,
basic bitch. Get it done.
carburetor rebuild. Well, you know me, Miles. It starts with a carburetor rebuild, and then
What?
I honestly wanted to just pull the
Get
entire
that
engine
Weber
and
3236 and just throw
got
that
the.
sucker on there and call it a day.
Oh, I got
3235,
that.
3236.
I got an outlaw, man. I got not no progressives for me, man. I got the dual synchronous Weber on that thing. Oh yeah, dude.
All right,
Yeah.
homie. All right.
Woo.
Well, you
Yeah.
spend an extra $20 and got that.
As
Good job.
20 bucks goes a long way.
Yeah. Let me see here.
Now,
Going to myself.
yes, I wanted to ask you. Same for you. 2023 rolls
My
around. I know
projects
you've got plans.
my projects are a little more involved. Give me the steering wheel. Let me see here.
Sure, sure.
I gotta take this thing and I just finished all the POR 15. I finished putting paint on it. This was an ordeal, and I'm just trying to get this chassis and a rolling chassis state so I can start to work on the body because this is a whole thing, to going to coilovers all around. It doesn't look like
Okay.
a lot of modifications were done to this Datsun 620 chassis for myself, but I basically put this entire thing on coilovers, Z32 brakes front and back, And then, of course, a VG30DE engine and 5-speed transmission, blam, 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 stuffed into it. And so there's modification that needs to go into it.
Only a lot.
Oh, a lot. But, this has been my kind of dream. Everybody says I was insane to pull it off. We'll see if I can kind of finish this out. I really just kind of want to get a rolling chassis, start having some fun, being able to churn this thing over by the end of the year. And then I'm cool with that. I set my aspirations low so I can accomplish some type of success. And then after that, I mean, I'm between working on everybody else's cars, Mike's, and everything else, and then plus a move. I mean, I've got a lot of personal stuff, things that are going on, but I still have goals that I want to accomplish. And again, for anybody out there accomplishing your own goals, understand the big picture of what's happening on your world, but you can always still accomplish those things in your garage. Get out there, get in your garage, have fun with it, do what you want to do. And me and Mike are car guys through and through. We're not just kind of car guys that buy new stuff. We understand the importance of working on and wrenching on your own stuff so you can afford to keep your vehicles. So again, if you're listening, you're in your garage, you're wrenching, you're listening to us in that garage, we salute you. Get out there
Mhm.
and you keep that momentum going into 2023, and tell us about it. We love hearing stories about what you accomplished and what your project was. I love hearing about people that are passionate talking about their projects when I'm at events. I mean, if you just threw rims on your cars, yeah, cool. Kudos to you, homie. But if you actually did some actual work and had to actually learn something from the aspect, I see that as self development, and not only car development. That's one thing that cars give back to you is development of your soul.
Dude,
And
you couldn't.
personal
Yeah,
confidence.
you agree. Actually, I wanted to do this for you too.
Oh,
In the future
you
here,
gonna cry?
actually, no, no. There's a really good book that's called "Shop Class is Soulcraft." Have you heard about this book?
No, I have not. Did you just make this up?
No, no. It sounds like I did, right? No, it's a book. Honestly, I've had this book for about 10 years now, over 10 years. Essentially, the author, and forgive me for not knowing the name right off top of mind.
John Smith. Go on.
Shecky Smith. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Paul Rubens. What was our running joke with Paul Rubens?
Paul Rubens. It's always Paul Rubens. So
But he talks about the importance of working in a garage or in a shop, producing something physical that exists. Because you got to admit, though, when you think about all the other things that somebody does, let's just say for a living, let's say it's a white collar job. It's not physical. Aside from paperwork, it's all in the air. There's nothing to really look at in some cases,
I
and
couldn't
there's a
agree with you
feeling, a
more, man.
psyche that comes to it. So that actually going in the garage, whether it's a car or not, just produce something physical, and there's a feeling of satisfaction and knowing that you existed, you created this, and this is exists now in the world. It goes a long way, man. It really has a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that whole office space thing. Once you actually do something with your hands, you have that sense of accomplishment. So, if you need to get in the garage and do something small, or hell, if you need to go into carpentry work, get it done. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of primal. Like as a
It's
and I'm
primal. Good
and
point.
I'm not trying to out anybody out there, but people could say it's a man thing, but I'm going to say it's a human thing. Because there's ladies out there that are just as accomplished as men when it comes to the
Hmm.
automotive aspect and being a hobbyist. you know,
Yes.
when you get a final finished product, I mean, there's a sense of pride that goes into it. I mean, there's like a little badge that you stick right there, and
Yeah.
that's it. I get that one right there. That's it.
Yeah.
I finally finished my project, and you know what? Nobody can take that away from you. So again, a
And
kudos to
yeah.
anybody that's a hobbyist, or you're in your garage, you're turning your wrenches, you're doing it all yourself, or you're doing as much as you can. There's no, and that's one other thing I want to kind of just harp on real quickly, that if you can't get something done, get it as far as you can, and then seek the help of a professional that you can trust, or seek out there. There's no humility in that whatsoever. But
I
get it
agree.
as far as you can, and then take over the rest, or go from there. But even if as small as the idea came up in your head and you farmed it out to a shop, hey, you know what? You still had the idea, and you still have the balls and the financial aspect to put behind it to accomplish
Yes.
that. Screw it, man. My shout out is to you, and that's exactly why we're here for. Is because at the end of the day, you're enthusiastic about the brand or a model or anything that has to do with what we're doing here, and that's why me and Mike do exactly what we do, is because we want to keep that campfire burning for you. We want to let you know everything that's happening with the brand, the motorsports aspect, but at the end of the
Yes.
day, we also want to know what's happening in your world. As small as it is and minute,
We
we want you to know that we're here for you.
we've been huge advocates of just right creating something, being hands-on with something, if possible. Again, it doesn't have to be a vehicle, but hey, that's what we pick to choose and pick. That's
That's
our
our
avenue.
paintbrush.
Yeah, it's our paintbrush. It's all about an artisan type of thing, man. Yeah,
But
exactly.
and that that's why we do it. It's not for the money. It's not for the drugs and all the thousands of dollars that
The
we get paid
chicks.
for every time we do this, for the chicks, you know, for all the sex and drugs that kind of comes with this podcast lifestyle, which is vast. But I will say that right now, this is why we do it, man. We're nerds, and we want to make sure that you have that campfire, which is the podcast here for you. So,
Yeah,
again, I'm gonna cry a little bit,
yeah.
shaking my beard.
Well, Miles. So again, just to recollect here too. Okay, so we're getting into car resolutions. It's the end of the year. We're thinking about 2023. Us here as as the Nerd Podcast, we aren't going anywhere. We will continue to be doing this. By the way, for anybody like it or not, no, I'm saying we've got a lot of good friends on this one. But I started to think too. What else is there for 2023 that we can talk about too? Which is, I wanted to ask you if that's all right. Like, do you see yourself acquiring any new tools? Are you saving up for any tools or any other type of equipment, small, big or small? I don't care. I mean, there's always something. We're always. What's
You
the
know,
next
I always pick
acquisition?
up tools as I go into 23. So we're talking about the wish list, homie. Now we're
Wish
talking about
list.
Santa
No,
Claus
no.
stuff.
Now I'm talking about something that will actually come to reality by the end of
You know,
2023.
I've been pushing this off for a long time, and this is big purchase homie stuff. I have all the toolboxes that I need. I have just about every like cool tool that I need
Okay.
to get my jobs done of what I want to do.
Yeah.
It was a toss up this year between a wheel changer, like a wheel and tire changer, or
Oh,
a
really?
lift. And I think as I get
Ooh.
older, the lift is where I want to be. So I think in 2023, my goal is by the end of 2023
Mm-hmm.
is to pick up my first lift. I've never had a lift before. I've worked on lifts a million times, and I've worked on other people's lifts in garages, shops, but I've never had my own lift. And I really want a lift, like a little two. All I want is a two post, and
Now,
just give me a two post.
yeah. Are
You
you
know,
talking one that actually go over your head, or I've seen some that go about waist high?
no, we
Maybe
we ain't doing the
belly
little
high.
half bin pack. I want to do the full, just fucking
Full
bring
rep.
it on. And that's what Daddy wants. He wants the full, because the reality is, I want it for myself, but at the same time, I'm a very pay it forward kind of guy. So I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to have a lift if they really want to kind of come over and work on it. And I
Hmm.
teach as I kind of go from there. It's one of my faults probably, that I just want to make sure that people have that avenue. But
I'm
kudos.
glad you admitted it.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
that's my that's what I enjoy to do. I
Okay.
find pleasure in it by teaching Amanda fish, if you will, from that aspect. So,
I agree. I
but
agree.
yeah,
I
hopefully that'll be my big ticket item. So again, big ticket item
Yeah.
is a two post lift for the new shop that's going up in New Mexico. We'll see how it
S-
goes.
s-
So, how about you, man?
So yeah, I'm a little torn right now. So I was kind of lost thinking about what. the acquisition might be for 2023. Because I gotta admit, I did take advantage of some Black Friday specials here within
Go
the last
on.
2 weeks. I grabbed a nice tool cart, toolbox cart,
All right. All
something I've
right.
been thinking about for a while. Next thing too, we deal with. Here's the next item. We deal with refurbishing older stuff, and 100% of the time that always involves cleaning old stuff, preparing it, and then making it look like new again. And so one of the things I bought was a parts cleaner, one of those
Oh yeah.
big
Good
part
job.
with a pump and the washer. I was I'm surprised I didn't think about it sooner. Like, why didn't I get this sooner? Because I deal with dirty parts so
You're a bit of
often.
a clean freak. It makes sense that you would buy a
And I
part
am
cleaner.
very, that comes from the job, my profession, which is like 5S and cleanliness and ready. And yes, yes, yes.
Cleanliness
So,
is next to godliness. Go on.
yeah. The one thing I can think of just off of mine, and this is going to sound so small because it doesn't really cost much, but um,
Gloves.
it's an air compressor tool that sucks fluid out of like master cylinders. When you're trying to get rid of fluid, it's an air compressor like vacuum. Yes, one of those.
Yeah.
Honestly, you'll be amazed how handy that simple tool can be.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about brake fluid, you gotta understand brake fluid has the ability to destroy paint. So you can't be messy. And this is a nice, simple little, like you said,
Yeah.
just cleans it up.
You got to think
Yeah.
beyond that. I mean, you'll never have to go to the bathroom again. You're working on the you're
God,
working on the Z, and you just stick it right through the hole, right through the pee pee hole,
there's an
suck it right out
attachment
of the
that
bladder, right there,
an attachment made for that.
like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
just like the astronauts. That's it. Suck it
That-
right out of there.
Na- it's science. It's
It's
NASA
science.
developed.
It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's
God.
how you do it.
Good, good,
So,
good creativity there, man.
uh, hey man, that's what I'm here for. All
um.
right. So,
Oh yeah.
but Harold goes 5 horsepower urinal, and he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's it. He's not wrong. So
before and I don't want to. We're having fun. I don't want to wrap this up too soon. But for those of you who are online, we would love to hear from you.
yeah,
We'll take a
for
minute
real,
to call you
Harold.
out.
Anybody
Yeah.
else? Tell us what your goals are for 2020. Your automotive goals are for 2023, and let us know what big ticket items that are in your starry eyes for 2023. So we'll go from there. But
Honestly,
yeah, so
yeah. I think honestly, for me, if you were to consider that, and then another one, again, it's a simple tool, but I want it so much, is a disc brake caliper, the pad spreader. Have you seen one? It's like a ratchet that just pushes
I
every
have one
time
of
you do a
those.
brake
It's
job.
not
Yeah,
bad. Yeah, a disc spreader, believe it or not, is surprisingly helpful when you just like it when you do a brake job. It's one of
yeah,
those things. It's actually the one thing that kind of just sucks all the energy out of you on the job, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Besides the whole pump the brake situation,
yeah.
there's two things that suck about brake jobs. It's spreading the pads, in my opinion,
I
and then
agree.
of
No, I
course,
agree.
and then the pump action when you don't have a friend, right?
You gotta have
So
friends for that
a
one. Yeah,
pneumatic brake bleeder
yeah.
system
Ooh.
is really helpful. They're about $67 to $100 on the cheap through Amazon. I
Hmm.
highly recommend those, and they also have a little vacuum system like my cats. Those are actually kind of built into it, and usually they have like a little cup that you can fill with your ABS fluid, and you
Yep.
kind of sit it there as a reservoir, so it never bleeds out. You never really lose the fluid and get the air bubbles in the system, which sucks ass. But just to let you know, but the separator, they're cheap. They're like anywhere from
Oh
like
yeah.
$12 to like
They're a $20
$23,
per.
man.
It's a great stocking stuffer for those who need some last minute gift ideas for sure. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
highly recommend.
yeah, yeah.
So
uh,
yeah, that's actually a nice little purchase for those that don't have that in their life, because eventually you got to evolve past the C clamp lifestyle. So
yeah.
like step up your game, homie. You know what I mean? Like for real. You
It's
can
the
always
little
get it
things
done.
that count.
It's the
Yeah,
little things that count. So,
yeah.
let's see here. Harold Wilkman says, "Finish my shop." Damn, that's a big, tall order,
That's a
homie.
big resolution,
So,
man.
That's a big
Yeah.
resolution.
I hope it
But
works out.
yeah, I don't know how much is involved with that or how balls deep you are in it, but I hope you're halfway or close to the coin purse with getting that done for yourself, sir. But kudos to you.
Good.
Paolo actually chimed in. He goes, "My 2023 resolution is put 1983 Patrol on the road." Now that is an accomplishable goal that I'd like to see happen. But yeah, I
Yeah.
know you've been doing that full resto on that vehicle, man, as you've been chiming in over the last few episodes. But we cannot if you do finish it, let us know, and we'll
Yeah.
definitely give a
Share some
shout out.
pictures.
We like to do shout outs for that kind of stuff. Um, Harold replied back. He goes, "Spray foam next weekend." Ooh, you're on insulation. So
Ooh.
yeah, you got to actually get some warmth, and it's cold as balls in Texas
Ooh.
today. For those that don't know, it is December 22nd, and we're in the middle of a full-on freeze right now. So um,
Which
yeah,
I'm
Harold.
surprised the power has been on as long as it's
Yeah,
been. Thank
surprising
God.
what it is.
Yes, yes. You
Pipes
know,
are
South
bursting all
Texas.
around us, so it is
Hmm.
what it is. So, but yeah, anybody else have any input? Let us know for the next few minutes as we continue to round this out. But
Yep.
all accomplishable goals. I can't say enough to people about starting with small goals. If you think you can handle it, reach for the stars. Worst case, you can hit the clouds. Make it happen. And Mike, I my goals. I can probably do a lot of that myself because I'm just a full on man. But for you, if you need help with any type of your goals, I just want to say this last year has been a really good time with you, buddy. And I just
No.
want to say how much I love you. And this isn't the three beers deep talking. I love you. And
Yeah.
if you need those goals or you need friendship to accomplish those goals, that's the brotherhood of bloody knuckles. And I'm here
Yeah.
for you. So
Oh,
you need
damn,
that.
man. Thanks,
On that
man.
note,
Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Well, same for you, buddy. I gotta say, thank you. You have been very, very helpful for me, especially with these two-man jobs that I need, and for things that I don't know typically, in terms of the certain things. So thank you.
yeah,
And you're right.
honestly,
We'll,
you're
we'll have
you're
more.
not as useless as you think you are. And
That's the nicest thing you've ever told me.
well, on that note, though, I did send you a gift to your house,
Uh-huh.
and I told you not to open it. So we're going to do a little bit of gift exchange at the end of the show. So I actually sent you a box of ish that I want you to open up. That I've
Yeah.
been kind of compiling over the year, and some cool stuff that I think that you would dig.
Um.
So go ahead and
y-
I
y-
sent you the box. You should have it.
Yes, yes, and I've been
So
staring at this box for the last couple days just because of the same fact. I'm like, I typically am a patient man, but
no, crack it open.
yeah, I've been curious. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this one. I do have this with me here. Uh, one of the finest packing jobs I've seen in my life.
Hey, bro. We're car guys. We're not here to wrap stuff. That's just how we roll.
That is
So,
true. That is true. Um, all right, let's get into it, man. I'm going to tear off the body strip paint, body paint, the lowest tack possible, so I can actually reuse this box. Thanks for the box.
that's actually green tape, and it's semi-tackable. So
Semi
slow
tack.
your roll. Uh,
Okay.
that's orange tape. That is actually when you're. It's pretty much the best tape that you can get when you're about to die grind or cut stuff. Just to let you know. All right.
Really?
Maybe next year, if you're a good boy, I'll give you a roll of the orange tape. All right.
The orange, I do know by reputation is very, very awesome.
The orange is
Okay.
the good stuff.
All right, for those who are listening with us, I am opening the box now. Hey, okay. Where do I start, man? Okay.
Wherever you want, homie.
I see this. So I see a. It looks to
Crack
be
it
a
open.
poster.
It's a treasure map. You have to
The
go out in the
tre-
cold and dig out your front yard to find the rest of your gifts.
Oh, dude, did you really get? Okay, so Miles, you should say that over the last year, we've always been fans of Donut Media.
Yeah,
This
they
is
were actually
Hilo. This
they're
is
yeah
yeah.
they're really nice guys. Actually, they've messaged us once. And
Yeah.
they're but they were nice enough to actually their media department was nice enough to send us a few posters. So they asked how many were in our staff. So they actually send us. They sent you a poster. They sent me a
Yeah.
poster, and I have one for Onion as
Do
well.
you really?
I didn't
That
pay anything for them. They shipped them on to us as a courtesy. And they said eventually we need to take pictures of them and send it in to them, and they'll show them on their page. So
oh,
when we get
gladly,
a chance
gladly,
to get
man.
together, we'll show post them. So
And for those who don't know, Donut Media obviously is a huge YouTube channel. One of the series, they have many video series, but one of the one, especially what's related to this poster here, is they have a series called High Low, where they compare parts, two
cheap
identical
cheap
cars
parts
built.
versus the high end parts. Yeah.
Yes, and coincidentally, obviously related to the Nissan Nerd podcast here, they did identical 350Zs. One car went high, one car went low, and that's what this poster is. This
And
is,
they made a
I like
poster of it,
this.
and that was actually very limited edition. So they were nice enough to send us right, show 'em. But yeah, they were
Thank you,
nice enough
man.
to put the poster. Show people the poster.
I did. Yeah. Check this out,
There you
guys. Now you got the high car going high on the lift, low
go. And the
car
low
on the
car, the
floor.
cheapie. All right,
Now,
go through
and
the
by the
rest of the
way,
box because we don't have all time
yeah,
all night.
that's true. I need to speed this up, don't I?
Speed it up.
All right. Second thing up, I see a series of magazines. Ooh.
Hold on. There's an important magazine there.
Okay. I'm gonna start with one, which is Sport Compact Car Project 300ZX. This comes from January of 2003. This is almost a 30. Next month, this is going to be a 20-year-old magazine.
Yeah,
Can
I
you
had to buy
believe
that
that?
off of eBay.
Did you really?
So for you and I, who are Z32 fanatic diehards, that is actually one of the last articles, close, that Mike Kojima wrote, Nissan God, and that's actually his car on the front cover of it. I figured when we see him at Super Lap Battle, you can have it signed and then frame it.
Ooh.
And because you were complaining that you do not have it, that is the magazine that you have to have if you're a Z32 fanatic. So
That, dude, you know,
I look for that for months. So thank you you're welcome.
this took you time. And thank you so much, man. I'm thinking of the
All right.
foam injection. You remember? Okay, yeah, we
The
had a foam
structured foam
injection on my.
injection was like another one, and I have the articles down here because I bought a
Yeah.
massive collection, and we'll talk about that later. Maybe next Christmas if you're a
Yes.
good boy.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Moving on here, I see Papacho Remedies, Incan Healing Secret. Not automotive related per se, but I am interested. I'm curious about this. What this says, Incan Healing Secrets. Now
Yeah,
I know you as a holistic type of person.
yeah, there you go.
Whenever I have an issue, you don't recommend drugs. You always recommend a certain type of
Yeah, I always
uh,
say like
oil.
rub patchouli on your butthole, and it'll fix everything. Moving on. Go ahead and put that to the
Okay,
side.
I'm gonna pull that one on. Now, third book I see here. This is actually wrapped. So we said it says to Sheldon next guy.
So
This was
originally
wrapped.
that was to a friend of mine named Sheldon, and Sheldon never picked up his gift. So it's kind of like one of those Amazon packages that nobody ever picked up, and it now goes to Mike. So
Now it goes to me. Okay. Well, I'm opening this up then. It says next guy. It doesn't even say Mike. It says
this
next. This is a regift.
is
All right.
total regift. So
Ooh, whoa! The
yeah,
art of,
I figured you could use it. So
and this is in English. Okay, so guys, hardbound cover, very nice, very well put together. The Art of War book. Now, I'm curious about this. Again, not exactly.
well, you're
I'm
not
pretty
going to read
sure.
it right on the damn podcast because people are going to get bored and they're going to drop off.
Are you
But yes,
sure?
it's actually a very good book. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Speed read it tonight. So
Thanks so much. No, yeah, right. I'm gonna stay up till 4 a.m. reading this thing here. Thank you so much, man. This is
well,
pretty cool.
I think
There's
there's
a
a
lot of
T-shirt and some other
proverbs.
stuff. There's some other stuff in there. A lot of
Yes,
proverbs. A lot of
I
stuff to read while you're on the toilet.
toilet reading. That's what I'll put it. Yes. How'd you know?
So this
Okay.
I actually got from Nissan staff. They were nice enough to forward on some pre-existing stuff. So that's
Yeah.
actually a Nissan employee
Nissan
polo.
polo
You're a
t-shirt,
polo kind of
silk.
guy. I'm
I
not a
kind of.
polo dude, and I'm like, but it's
Ah,
secondhand and was forwarded on to me. I figured I'd forward it on to you. So that was
thank
it.
you, man. I appreciate that. Official Nissan. Not only was it a
It's a
Nissan
Nissan official
license,
swag. Yeah.
but it was also worn by Nissan personnel. Ah.
Mm.
Okay, last up here. I have 3 Hot Wheels in front of me, and first one,
Yeah.
Nissan Leaf RC. Again, we always talk about the uh, the, the the Leaf and much less for developments in racing. This is an EV. I like this one. I like the color. That's almost a Calisonic color, by the way. Is that why?
Yeah,
These are
no,
all blue. These are kind of like
you know how I roll. Come on.
Yes, I do. Yeah, see.
All right.
Next
Well,
one
I'm
is Kinmary and Hakosuka GTR. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much,
cool.
dude. Thank
I'm
you.
glad you dig them, man. So again,
Yeah.
um, I think you've done a lot this year, and I just want to make sure that you were rewarded through the gift of swag. So
Thank you. Now
yeah,
I almost feel bad because I didn't. Now, based on quantity alone, I did not get you one,
it's
two, three,
okay.
four, five,
Mine's
six.
always
Yeah,
bigger
yeah.
than yours. So let's go ahead and talk about. Now you actually sent me a package,
No,
and
I
I
did.
promised not to open it. It's straight from the
S-
package. So let's see
So,
what I got here.
yeah, yeah. So I've got one box for you. You have it open there. Oh, so you have the box open. Okay. Now I want to say you open up the small one, not the white one, but the brown one, the small package first. I think you'll
Brown
enjoy that
first.
one.
Okay. All right.
That's what she
So
said.
opening it up, let's see what I got here. Oh man, you would happen to double
Now,
bag me like you don't know where I've been. Let me see here. Uh oh. Uh oh. I feel like something's. Oh, you got that limited edition Datsun 620 that I've been hunting down, that Christmas tree ornament.
it's an ornament, dude.
Oh.
Yes, yes, yes. So I was just trying to get creative, man. I mean, I understand Hot Wheels are Hot Wheels, and the funny part is about
Now,
Hot
this
Wheels.
is so for
Yeah.
those that don't know, and this is how nerdy we are. Me and Mike are both Datsun 620 guys, and this is the one you have to buy for $20 in the whole package, for the whole like Hot Wheels package. But dude, I totally dig it, dude. Yeah,
Yes. Now, this is kind of funny though. I went through Etsy, and there's a particular person there who will actually turn Hot Wheels into ornaments. And half the time in our lives, Miles, 99% of every Hot Wheels we have are still in the damn
in the
packaging. Like,
package.
dude, let's
Yeah,
just get this thing out. Let's put it on a tree, man. Yeah,
I dig
I thought you'd
this.
like that.
Yeah, as long as my kid doesn't destroy it, I'm totally about it.
Put it
Go
up
ahead.
high for as
Oh,
long as you can
oh.
until she can't reach it.
All right,
Now, this next
last
one
one.
is sort of a gag. I think you'll enjoy it. I think the missus actually will enjoy it too. Maybe you could,
So you're
yeah, take a
buying
look.
gifts for my
Take a look.
wife now? You got a problem?
No, no, this is for you.
All right.
This is for you.
Okay.
She might get a kick out of it, though, is what I'm saying.
Let's see what I got here. Oh, what does that say?
You get yourself there a mandel, not a candle,
The
but a
mantle.
mandel.
What is the mantle? Clean hands are the sign of a wasted life. Let's see here. Grease monkey candle. A real man's happy place is in the garage. So, oh, yeah,
Now,
dude,
yeah,
what does that smell? What? Use washer to pry open lid. All right, homie.
pry the lid.
Oh, okay. Let me go there. Let's
What do
go.
you got?
Let's
What do you
party.
got?
Let's party. Let's
Now,
party.
I
Let's
was
party.
told what it smells like, but you be the judge.
Oh, it's you bought it online without getting your booger snout in there with whatsoever. All right, let's see what I got.
As with
Oh
many
my god.
things. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like opening a paint can. Oh,
Good. Yeah, nah, yeah.
woo! You know what it smells like?
What's that?
It smells like a nightclub urinal. Oh, you know what I mean? Like a urinal cake, stale piss, and like somebody spilled some Fabuloso on the floor and maybe did an oil change in there at one time. And that's what it
Yeah.
smells like. Yeah.
Well, what it
Yep.
was supposed to
That's
be.
exactly what it smells like.
Now,
It smells like a club where it's ladies' night and it's like $4 drinks all night, like
for,
well drinks all night.
and it was burrito night at the restaurant down the road, or what?
Yeah. Oh, for real, that's the closest
now,
thing I can tell you what it smells like.
now, Mandel. This whole thing is actually a product line, though. But what they was meant to be was a combination of oil and WD-40. Is what it's supposed. If
Hold on.
once you light it up, whenever that's time to light candles, especially when the power goes out, tonight might be the night. You light that sucker up, and it's gonna smell like a dirty ass garage. Is what
Let
it's
me get the
supposed to
garage
sound.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it smells like man garage. So honestly, it's badass, man. Thank you very
Well, there you
much. I
go, man.
appreciate
Yeah, I
it.
hope you enjoy it, man. Again,
Yeah.
light it up whenever you get desperate. How about that?
Well, on that bombshell, I want to say again, thank you to everybody being on with us here for the support for 2022 as we continue into 2023. We do all this solely for you guys, and let us know about the news that's coming up in your neighborhood or in
Yes.
your neck of the woods, because this is why we do what we do. We don't do it for the drugs, the glory, the sex parties that we have
The
after we
chicks.
do these
Yeah.
podcasts, all the chicks. This is exactly why we do what we do. But again, thank you to everybody out there for the continued support. Thank you for our few and far between sponsors that are out there. SPL, Nissan Challenge. Again, we really appreciate Skillard, all the additional assistance that we've had throughout the entire year. We love
Yes.
you guys. Again, couldn't say enough about you as we continue into 2023. And again, we will see you when the new year comes around.
Yep.
Thanks for staying on with us. Again, continue to like,
Now,
share, subscribe. If you need to contact us, reach out to us on social media. You can email us at info@nissannerd.com if there's anything new that you have that you want to kind of talk about.
yes. Now, I do want to say again, like you said, Miles, for those of you with us and listening to us, uh, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Our next episode will be in 2023, and so that's one thing. We'll see you in 2023. We've got a lot more planned, and we hope you enjoy and continue to listen with us and talk with us and contribute. We definitely look forward to it and to growing the podcast even further. Again, thank you for being with us, guys. Um, you want what
Go
do you got
away.
there?
Go. Get them out of here.
Well, let's sign off again, guys. Again, it's near the end of the year. If you've got anything left with us, let's do a kanpai.
Do a last minute
Miles,
comp pie.
what do you got left?
I got stuff.
You got stuff?
I
All
got
right, guys.
stuff.
Boom, guys. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon. Let's go for it. Mm.
Oh. Oh, that's
Uh,
it. Done.
I,
Shut it down. I'm
I
done with this year. I'm finished. I'm over. It's over. I'm
just when
going
you
home.
thought you couldn't ask for
That's
much
it.
more,
Done.
I'm surprised,
Done.
dude. I've been, you know how long I've been sweating in this. You didn't even talk about my nice little
I did
tux.
not talk about your jacket.
No? Oh,
I did not
you
talk about your
dude,
jacket.
I
You've been
I
sweating in that
am.
all night.
I have been. You got these lights on me, man. It's freaking nuts
I'm
right
gonna
now. So.
snort a little more of your candle. I'm starting to get high off this stuff. Break a
I.
little out. Oh,
Oh man, I have to
what's
wear
the
this shirt.
street value on this candle? What's it?
Uh, street value. Oh
All
man,
right,
I
I'm
wonder.
done. Bye.
Hey, you're
You
done.
guys
All right,
gone.
again.
We'll see you in 2023.
One more time,
Bye.
2023, guys. See ya.